When you refer to my comment, BALLB. Mr.
As our guest tonight we have Mr. Max Ogden, who is a trade union official with a rather unusual job mixed up with education and culture within the trade union movement. Mr. Ogden, I believe that at the moment you're on the payroll of the Arts Council. What's this all about?
It's the end result, or perhaps even the beginning of a program that began, at least in a small way, some years ago when we kicked off our education program in Victoria, where we do all sorts of schools for shop stewards and the like. We, right from the word go, decided that cultural and art activities would be part of that program, and we've done several things, theatre tours and art exhibitions and that in the factories. And the Australian Council of the Arts approached us late last year to try and spread such programs much wider throughout the unions and around the country, and that's what's led to this present situation evolving.
And is Victoria at the moment the only state involved in this sort of thing?
Well, I suppose the unions and workers generally have had a long history of activity with the arts and culture. This is the first time I think it's really tried to be done in a mass way and in a consistent way, and that's in Victoria. We've begun to do that. We're still nowhere near what we want to do, but it's the beginnings of a really consistent effort.
Well, I take it at the moment that it's more for the unions than participation by the unions.
Well, I think that'll be pretty true. At this stage, we've done mostly things that are spectator or, if you like, passive sort of things, whereby people just watch theatre, or it's an introduction to them in that sense. We are intending to have a much longer range perspective of developing exhibitions of unionist art, publish their poetry and short stories and special books each year, and perhaps participate in plays and in every facet of the theatre. They're the long-range perspectives which we think the unions have got enormous potential for doing amongst their membership. And I think that will perhaps develop some kind of new, I could hope, culture from the workers.
Have you had any examples yet of this potential, or are you just assuming it?
Oh no, there is some examples around. For only recently in Melbourne or in Victoria, we unearthed a couple of artists who work in one particular factory, and one in particular I understand is quite outstanding. Particularly, for example, in Newcastle, there's a number of union officials who are involved with singing and playing guitars and all sorts of things. There's a lot of talent around. There's a lot of talent yet to be unearthed, and we hope by doing this we can bring it together and get people, perhaps as a result of contact with one another, gain some strength from that and then build out from there.
And what's been your reception in New South Wales so far?
Oh, fairly good. It's the reception everywhere, particularly, say, at the workshop level, initially is one of some wariness. Having had, say, one theatre performance or one art exhibition or something like that, that's all that's necessary. Then people are saying, well, why can't we have this regularly? The real problem is whether the unions can live up to the potential that's being offered, because the arts and cultural people are just absolutely ecstatic about the whole thing, and everywhere they're offering their services, and I only hope we can get the potential to use that kind of
Well, now, one important point, no matter who the artist might be, or who the singer, or who the actor, the promotion of this sort of thing costs money. Where's it going to come from?
Well, initially, the Australian Council of the Arts was helping considerably. For example, they financed our theatre tour last year, or a number of them last year. They financed it to the tune of $1,100 for 3 weeks. Initially, when people are starting up or places are starting up, they will supply money, and then they're prepared to, along with the unions, put in money, perhaps on some dollar-for-dollar basis. We're approaching employers to also put in money, and in this theatre tour we're doing next week, for example, we're asking the membership on the job to put in 10 or 20 cents a performance. So there's sort of 4 avenues in which we think we can gain the money, but the Arts Council is helping a lot.
Thanks very much, Mr. Ogden.
All right, thanks for that.
Our guest tonight has been Mr. Max Ogden, who is an education officer for the AMWU in Victoria.
Well, probably because it's different and it's something that they're not going to see every day. You know, it's something that's new and it fascinates them to be able to see a man actually pass himself off as a glamorous showgirl woman, looking woman.
What sort of training have you done for this sort of work?
Well, you more or less do an apprenticeship. You know, when working at Lay Girls, they teach you to dance, they teach you how the sort of the feminine movements to use and the necessary talents it takes to actually mime a record, because you're actually acting out the song that you're doing, you know, so you have to try and get these emotions across to the audience.
Yes, all right. Well, what sort of man goes in for this? You know, I can't sort of imagine the ordinary Australian off the beach taking this sort of entertainment up.
Well, it's strange, you know, you can get a lot of different type of people going into this type of thing, you know. Admittedly, it's more people that are more artistically minded than, say, your average Ocker or your average Australian, but there have been people known to sort of go into it that have been labourers and that sort of thing, you know, but it's a little bit harder for them because their bodies are more masculine and a lot harder. But as for Colleen and myself, we were hairdressers, you know, and it's just something that fascinated us.
Colleen, what do you think you'll do when you leave this type of show business?
Well, see, I can always go back to hairdressing because that is my trade. I am a hairdresser by trade, and so hairdressing is the sort of thing that you can always fall back onto. It's mainly, it's a hobby, you know, like, you know, I get a lot of enjoyment out of it, you know, and basically it's theatrical, you know, a lot of dance, because I've done a lot of dancing, you know, when I was at school and things, and then, you know, when I decided to get a career, I took up hairdressing, you know, because I enjoy the work, and, you know, you find it's the sort of thing, if you keep your licence current, you can always go back to it. Yeah.
All right, now, when you're just going downtown, say, how do you dress? Like you are today, or?
You know, it's hard to answer. You know, you don't try and, you know, dress over feminine, but you don't try to dress masculine because it's a little bit silly, because you definitely don't look masculine because you look really silly in a suit and tie. Then that'd even cause people to look more.
I see.
You know.
So you try and get a sort of in between.
A happy medium, yes. And you know, you just try and not cause a big sensation walking down the street to buy a carton of milk or something. You know.
And Jackie, what about your ordinary social life? I suppose you're busy, but do you sort of have a social life? Do you go out?
Oh, yes, we go out. We have friends that, you know, we go to pool parties or dinner parties, and, you know, we lead practically a normal life, the same as anybody else.
Rochelle, what can people like yourself do to enhance your feminine characteristics for the business?
Well, feminine characteristics in our business is like an apprenticeship in any other. Over the years, you tend to improve it. Thereby, you know, when I first started out, I was like a man. And then over the years, I've just more or less apprenticeship myself and learned makeup techniques to improve and enhance the beauty for stage work.
Yes, and what about your physical appearance?
Physical appearance, well, as I said, that is also in the apprenticeship. You learn to wear the right type of clothing to flatter your appearance and your physical, you know, appearance.
Do you take any hormone tablets, this sort of thing?
Yes, under strict doctor's care, of course. I do take hormones, but strictly just for the theatrical use.
I see.
Stage work.
Now, do you think that there is in all men a desire to perhaps do this or get dressed up as women?
I couldn't say all men, no, because I mean, then our theatre would be just full. But there are a lot, of course, of female impersonators in theatrical work. But I don't know, there's just that's something, you go along and when I first saw a female impersonating show, I was so intrigued. I thought, wow, I think it's really tremendous.
Do you feel in yourself that you've changed in your mind? Do you sort of think more like a woman now? Or?
No, I think the same as I did then. As I said, it's just strictly for my theatrical work because, I can't play an instrument, I can't sing, and I really wanted to get on stage. And when I saw this, I thought this is just meant for me. So
Stepping stone to do it.
Stepping stone to do it, that's right.
Mm-hmm.
The Australian Assistance Plan is a way of enabling people in the community itself to take control, to give direction to their own social welfare services. Although it's not just for social welfare services alone in the traditional use of the term social welfare, it is for community improvement.
Almost without limits?
Without limits. The limits on the use of the resources are those that are decided by the local people themselves.
Well, there's $60,000 over the next 3 years.
That's right.
That's already allocated to this particular area to start planning this. What do the planners have to do?
Well, that $60,000 is $20,000 for each year, and that is a specific grant for a specific purpose, for setting up a social planning secretariat. It really means that you get a man on who has qualifications in social administration, and he works with the volunteer group that's established by the local community in deciding the services that are most needed by the people.
Companion of Honour and Member of Parliament. Mr Armstrong, Mr and Mrs McMahon, the Cessnock, but I think it's important that people in mine mainly on coal.
Mr Chairman, Mr Mayor, Frank, also remember, and this is something
Marilyn Matthew.